Have you ever loved someone so deeply that even if the world forgot about them, you would still search for them until either you found them or completely lost yourself? The pickup truck screeched through the foggy mountain road, its headlights cutting through the thick mist like struggling memories in a half-lit mind. Jack's hands gripped the steering wheel with a desperation that bordered on madness. He had no idea how long he had been driving, nor did he care. There was only one thing on his mind. Tu Tien had been in an accident, and now she was gone. "Please, don't let anything happen to her," he whispered under his breath. "Tu Tien, just stay alive. Please wait for me." He slammed the brakes in front of Chao Nguyen Emergency Clinic, leapt out of the car, and ran through the doors like a man possessed. His eyes were wild, his voice hoarse as he asked the nurse at the front desk, "Has a young woman been brought in? Motorcycle accident. She's got long black hair, slender, wearing a white dress. Her name's Tu Tien." The nurse gave him a puzzled, sympathetic look. "Sorry, sir. We haven't had anyone matching that description, just a couple of fever cases and one elderly man who slipped on the stairs." "No," Jack muttered, backing away as if the words had physically struck him. "No, I called the ambulance. I saw her lying there unconscious. She should have been brought here." "If the injury was serious," the nurse said more gently, "she would have been taken directly to a regional hospital, most likely Northway General Hospital in the city." His legs nearly gave out. He turned, dialing number after number, hospitals, clinics, friends, but no one had seen her. No one knew. He stood there, cold sweat running down his spine, breathing like he'd been punched in the chest. His fingers trembled as he whispered, "Where are you, Tu Tien?" Meanwhile, in a quiet emergency room at Northway General, a girl lay still under white sheets, her head wrapped in bandages, her lips pale. Machines beeped softly around her. Sitting on either side of her were an elderly couple, the ones who had hit her. "I didn't see her in time," the old man whispered to his wife, guilt weighing heavy on every word. It was so foggy. She just appeared out of nowhere. His wife squeezed the unconscious girl's hand gently. "We have to take responsibility. She's our burden now. She's so young, she could have died." As she spoke, the girl's eyelashes twitched. A moment later, her lips parted and a hoarse voice escaped. "Who am I?" The woman gasped and leaned forward. "You're awake! Oh, thank God!" The girl blinked, eyes unfocused. She glanced around at the white walls, the beeping monitors, the strangers beside her. "Where am I? Why am I here?" "You were in an accident," the old man said softly. "We're the ones who hit you, but we brought you here. You're safe now." She tried to sit up, failed, and lay back down, trembling. "I don't remember anything, not even my name." Jack, at that exact moment, had driven to every clinic he could find. In desperation, he stormed into a vet hospital by mistake. He called anyone who might know something. Then finally, his phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello?" he shouted, already on edge. "Is this the fiancé of the woman who was in an accident this morning?" came a calm, professional voice. "This is Officer Min, local police." Yes, it's me, Jack. Where is she? Please, is she alive?" "She's alive," the officer said. "She was taken to Northway General Hospital by the couple involved in the incident. She's in good hands." "Thank you," Jack gasped. "Thank you, I'm going there now." He floored the gas pedal, a fire of hope burning again in his chest. "Please, baby, hang on, I'm coming." Back at the hospital, a doctor approached the girl's bed. She was awake, sitting up but clearly confused. He asked gently, "Do you remember your name?" She shook her head slowly. "No, I don't know anything." The doctor turned to the elderly couple. "We ran some scans. No internal bleeding, but she suffered a moderate head injury, trauma to the temporal lobe. She's experiencing retrograde amnesia. Temporary, we hope." "Will she recover?" the woman asked, alarmed. "Possibly. It could take days, weeks, maybe more." Then, flipping through her chart, he hesitated. "There's something else. She's 6 weeks pregnant." The room went silent. I'm What? The girl whispered, staring at him. No, that can't be. I don't even remember who. It's okay, the woman said quickly, sitting beside her. Don't think about that now. Just focus on healing. You can stay with us. We'll take care of you. Tu Tien touched her stomach, dazed and broken. Later that morning, the elderly couple finished discharge procedures. They told the front desk they'd leave their contact info in case anyone came looking. They helped her into their car and exited through the hospital's back gate. Jack arrived only minutes later. He sprinted into the hospital lobby. Please, a woman named Tu Tien, where is she? The receptionist blinked. She was discharged just 10 minutes ago, went with an older couple. They left this address. Jack stared at the paper, his heart racing. He turned and ran. He was 3 minutes too late. The couple's car arrived at their modest house in a quiet neighborhood. The woman opened the gate while the man held the door. Tu Tien stepped out slowly, unsure of where she was going, but trusting the only people who'd been kind to her since she woke up. And then, from across the street, Jack's voice rang out like thunder. Tu Tien! She froze. He ran toward her like a man returning from the dead, eyes filled with tears. It's me, Jack! Don't you recognize me? I'm your fiancé. He embraced her, shaking with emotion. She didn't move. I'm sorry, she said in a hushed voice. I don't know who you are. Jack stared at her, paralyzed. No, that's not possible, he whispered. I'm Jack. I proposed to you by the Red Lotus Lake. We planted roses together every Sunday. You promised to marry me. She looked down at her hand. The ring was still there, but her face remained blank. I'm scared. I don't remember any of that. The old woman gently took her arm and led her inside. Jack stood there in the cold rain, watching the door close. His voice cracked as he whispered into the quiet, Even if your memory forgets me, I'll make sure your heart remembers. For days, the sky remained gray. A pale fog hung low over the quiet house where Tu Tien now stayed. The couple had given her a cozy room overlooking a small garden. The sheets were soft, the air smelled of lavender, but inside her, there was only confusion. She sat by the window most mornings, watching leaves tremble in the breeze. Her hand instinctively rested on her stomach, as if trying to understand the life growing inside her. Who was the father? Who had loved her enough to leave behind this trace of intimacy? But the terrifying part was not that she didn't remember him. It was that somewhere deep inside, she could feel something missing. There were no dreams, no images, just a dull ache, like a song she once knew but forgot how to hum. The old woman, whom she now called Ma'am, would bring her warm tea and gently brush her hair. You're safe now, dear. Just rest. Don't force anything. Tu Tien always nodded, but something inside her itched to break free. Elsewhere in the city, Jack was sleeping in his car outside the gate of that same house. He hadn't left since the moment she'd walked through that door. The old man had come out to speak to him once, his voice low but firm. Young man, I understand your pain, but she doesn't remember. You can't rush that. I'm not here to force anything, Jack replied, eyes tired. I just want to be near her. If she remembers something, even a flicker, I want to be here for it. The old man sighed. She writes in a notebook sometimes. If you can get her to talk, maybe that'll help. And so Jack waited. Days turned into a week. One afternoon, while the sun peeked through the clouds for the first time, the elderly woman suggested they take a walk to the market. Tu Tien hesitated. Crowds made her anxious now. But Ma'am smiled and offered her a scarf. Sometimes the heart remembers what the mind forgets. They walked slowly through the bustling street. Colors, sounds, smells. It was all overwhelming. At a corner, Tu Tien stopped in front of a small photo studio. Inside the glass window was a wall of framed wedding portraits. Her heart skipped. There, tucked in the corner, was a photo of herself, dressed in a white gown, smiling beside a man she couldn't name. Her knees buckled. The old woman caught her just in time. Tu Tien was trembling. Her lips parted, but no words came. She stared at the photo like it was a mirror to a life she had never lived. "That's me," she whispered. "Are you sure, dear?" "I don't know, but I feel like I've seen his eyes before." She clutched her scarf and ran out of the shop, tears streaming down her face. Back at the house, Jack stood frozen when he saw her return. She didn't speak. She simply went straight to her room, shut the door, and cried silently. Later that night, she opened a blank notebook and began to write. "Today I saw a face I don't remember, but my body reacted like it knew him. It scared me. My hands shook, my heart raced. But what frightens me the most is that part of me wanted to run toward him, not away." Unbeknownst to her, Jack would later find that notebook. He didn't read much, just that page. He sat on the porch, clutching it like a lifeline. The next morning, he knocked on her door for the first time. She opened it, eyes red from crying. "Hi," he said softly. "I'm not here to force anything, but would you let me take you somewhere?" She looked hesitant. "Just somewhere quiet. I promise not to speak unless you ask." She studied his face. He looked exhausted, gentle, honest. She nodded. They drove to a lakeside park. It was serene, with blooming red lotuses floating on the water. Children played in the distance, birds chirped from nearby trees. She stepped out of the car and stared at the lake. Something inside her stirred. "This place feels warm." Jack smiled faintly. "You once said it was the only place that made you feel like you belonged." She turned to him slowly. "Did we come here often?" "Every Sunday. We'd sit right over there." He pointed to a wooden bench. "You liked feeding the ducks." She walked toward the bench and sat down. Her fingers grazed the worn wood. "This place makes my heart feel full, even if my mind feels empty." He sat beside her, hands folded. "Do you mind if I tell you something? Just one story?" She nodded. "The day I proposed to you, you were barefoot. Your heels had blistered and you kicked them off. We sat here and you told me the only thing that scared you more than love was losing it." She stared at him, eyes wide. "That sounds like something I would say." Jack laughed softly, though it cracked like glass. "You were stubborn, brave. You made fun of how nervous I was when I pulled out the ring." She lowered her gaze, voice trembling. "I'm sorry, I can't remember any of it." "You don't have to apologize." She hesitated, then asked, "Were we happy?" Jack's voice caught in his throat. "You were my everything. So yes, I was the happiest man alive." Tu Tian wiped a tear from her cheek. They sat in silence as the wind rippled across the water. In the days that followed, she allowed Jack to visit more often. He didn't push, he didn't beg. He simply told her stories, one each day. About the time they built a bookshelf together and it collapsed, about the way she snored when she was exhausted, about how she used to sing in the kitchen, off-key but full of joy. Every night she wrote more in her journal. "He makes me feel safe, familiar, but I also feel guilty, like I'm keeping someone out in the rain while I hide in a house that used to be ours." She started drawing small things in the margins, lotus flowers, rings, a tiny pickup truck. One morning, Ma'am entered her room with an envelope. "Sweetheart, the doctor sent over your latest tests. Everything looks stable. The baby's healthy." Tu Tian placed a hand on her belly, letting out a shaky breath. "I don't know who the father is. Maybe you don't need to, not yet. Just focus on being whole again." Later that day, she invited Jack to accompany her to the next checkup. At the clinic, they stared at the monitor as the sonogram flickered to life. A small heartbeat pulsed on the screen. Tu Tian burst into tears. "That's inside me?" Jack squeezed her hand. "Whoever this baby belongs to, I swear, I'll love it like it's mine, if you'll let me." She looked at him, eyes swimming in emotion. "Why would you do that?" "Because you didn't stop being my home, even when you forgot." That night, she left the notebook on the porch where he always sat. He picked it up and read a single line written at the bottom of the last page. "I don't remember you, Jack, but I'm starting to miss you anyway." Jack closed the notebook and looked up at the stars, whispering, "That's enough for now." Sometimes memory fades, but love remains, a quiet warmth guiding us back to where we belong.